On the news, President Bola Ahmed celebrates 2 years as president as a defense fuel subsidy removal. Appeal Court affirms Okpebholo as Edo State Governor dismisses Ighodalo's case. And Ondo State lawmaker defied from PDP to APC. Many thanks for joining us on the news on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkwolye. We begin with party matters where the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on Thursday upheld the election of Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State and dismissed the case of Asue Ighodalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party PDP in the September 21, 2024 governorship election in the South State. The appellate court held that it found no reason to dislodge the May 15 judgment of the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which validated the declaration of Governor Okpebholo of the All Progressive Congress APC as winner of the gubernatorial contest. In its immediate response, the PDP said the verdict of the appellate court will be contested at the Supreme Court. At the poll last September, Okpebholo of the All Progressive Congress APC secured 291,667 votes to defeat PDP's Ighodalo, who got 247,274 votes, and Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party, who came as a distant third in the race with 22,763 votes. The APC candidates declared over 10 of the 18 local government areas, leaving the PDP candidate with marginal victory in the other local councils. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has marked the second year in office with a reflection on key economic reforms, notably the removal of the petrol subsidy and unification of the foreign exchange window. The president, who assumed office on May 29, 2023, described the policies as bold steps needed to save the country from financial collapse, noting that the subsidy regime and multiple FX windows had become a chokehold on Nigeria's future. While the reforms led to a sharp rise in fuel price and steep depreciation of the naira, Tinubu maintained that they were necessary to restore economic stability and lay the groundwork for sustainable growth. In a nationwide statement, the president said his administration has begun implementing a new national fiscal policy aimed at fair taxation, responsible borrowing, and disciplined spending. Tinubu thanked Nigerians for their continued support, stating that his government remains focused on tackling economic instability, improving security, and lifting citizens out of poverty as it enters the second half of his tenure. And as President Bola Tinubu marks the second anniversary of his administration, Nigerians reflect on a journey defined by bold promises and significant challenges. Since the swearing-in ceremony on May 29, 2023, the Tinubu's administration has pledged to revive the economy, enhance national security, and improve everyday lives through the renewed Hope agenda. But today, opinions remain sharply divided as citizens differ on whether those promises are being realized. Now, TV360's correspondent Victoria Akonde completes the story in this next report.
On May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu stood at Eagle Square and pledged to lead Nigeria into a new era of bold reforms, renewed hope, and restored confidence with his renewed hope agenda. Now, halfway through his first term, the question on many lips is, has that promise translated into progress for the Nigerian people? From the beginning, the administration took decisive steps. The removal of fuel subsidies and unification of foreign exchange rate were hailed by economists as necessary reforms for sustainable growth. Yet, these bold moves came with immediate consequences: soaring inflation and a rising cost of living sparking discomfort among many Nigerians. The reaction across the country is mixed. Some Nigerians acknowledge the administration's commitment and recognize progress. Others remain skeptical about the direction and tangible impact of governance.
It's the best we have ever seen in the history of Nigeria. We know there is hardship outside, we know. But we know that the reform that he is doing, at least in the next 8 years, we are going to be seeing the outcome of the reform. At least there's no student loan before, there's student loan now.
You never do enough. You understand? Things are hard. Especially we pensioners, we are suffering. Pensioners, we are suffering. Our pensions have been hanging. Most of us have not been paid for some months now. So we need to do something about retirees.
We are just trying and praying. Because even people working are complaining. Likewise, people that are not working. The things are so hard. Everything is expensive. It's not easy.
Experts' opinions reflect a similar divide. While praising the courage to implement difficult reforms, they criticize execution and political distractions, notably the prolonged legal battles early in the tenure that delayed full governance focus.
If I were to give the Tinubu government a scorecard after 2 years, I'd say perhaps a C plus or a B minus, because the will is there to improve the lot of Nigerians. I truly believe that they have the right mindset. But whether the prevailing circumstances, geopolitically, globally, economically, whether those will now give them the liberty to do all the things they want to do, I'm not sure about that at the moment.
Score this administration overall, I think I'll score them 40%, between 35 to 40%. That's what I'll score this administration in terms of governance. But in terms of politics, if you ask me to score this particular administration, I'm sure they are very, very good at that. I'll score them 70 to 80% when it comes in terms of politics. But when it comes in terms of governance, I'm not sure this present administration can score more than 40%, even up to 40%.
Security, once showing signs of improvement, has sharply deteriorated with a resurgence of violence and instability in various parts of the country. On economic reforms, experts say the subsidy removal lacked adequate planning, intensifying the hardships faced by ordinary Nigerians.
How can a ragtag army, completely stymie a whole national army, the armed forces of the country? An ordinary insurgent group, the whole army cannot bring them to book. It doesn't seem right.
For me, the president did not think it twice, did not put in a strategic thinking pattern before the removal of first subsidy. But that has been done, It's only individuals that make mistakes and admit their mistakes. When government make mistakes, they put a voter face because nobody can question them. And that's why we have found ourselves where we have found ourselves today, because that policy contributed to the mess that we have, that has characterized the standard of living and the cost of living of every Nigerian.
Citizens continue to urge the president to prioritize curbing insecurity and to urgently address rising food prices and scarcity, especially focusing on vulnerable groups like pensioners and youths.
To let us know it's planned, like we youths, we doesn't know it's planned. And there people are like harassing him. He's not saying anything. So for we youths to come outside and even support him more better.
2 years into office, President Bola Tinubu's legacy remains a work in progress, shaped by bold decisions, growing discontent and cautious optimism. And as the nation marks another Democracy Day, the verdict for Nigerians is resounding. The promises have been made. Now is the time to deliver. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
Meanwhile, the End Bad Governance Group has declared a nationwide protest ahead of the June 12th Democracy Day celebration, calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reverse the hike in fuel point prices and electricity tariffs. Speaking at a press conference in Lagos during a review of the president's 2 years in office, the group's leader and human rights activist Hassan Soweto described the current economic reforms influenced by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) policies as anti-people. According to them, the Tinubu-led administration is serving the interest of a few elite, while the majority of Nigerians face worsening economic hardship, hunger, and insecurity. They are urging Nigerians to join the June 12 protest to reject what they term anti-people policies and demand a government that prioritizes the welfare of its citizens.
Under Tinubu, we have to say that Nigerians are living more or less like enslaved citizens. All the constitutional guaranteed rights and freedoms that in the past inspired struggles against military rule and for democracy have now been completely taken away by the Tinubu administration. The civic space has shrunken to the point that Nigerians can no longer breathe. The right of freedom of expression, assembly, and association are routinely under attack. Several activists, bloggers, and journalists are being harassed, attacked, arrested, and prosecuted for simply exercising freedom of speech.
Let us put ourselves in the shoe of the masses. People are not happy. Looking at this minimum wage, looking at the hospital, our insecurity. I know of a family that lost the father and the mother in Abuja. That a lot of amounts were paid, and at the end of the day, this couple died. Is a call to everybody. It can be anybody. Failure to adjust, nobody knows who it is going to be the next turn.
As it is, we all know the language these people understand, especially the government, is protest. But as far as I'm concerned, I will plead with the masses. They should just put away the fears in them. On that very day, June 12, we should come out en masse. Let's show our grievances. We shouldn't allow this government to subject all of us into unnecessary hardship. The poverty is just too much, and we can't continue like this.
And it was a moment of deep reflection and celebration as the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, marked its 50th anniversary in Lagos. The event brought together leaders and dignitaries from across the region, but the spotlight fell on Nigeria's former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, the only surviving founding father of ECOWAS. Gowon, who helped birth the vision of regional integration 5 decades ago, described the journey as a shared dream to overcome colonial legacies and underdevelopment through unity. TV360's Okpayemi Owosheni completes the story in this next report.
Formed in the wake of decolonization and a wave of Pan-African consciousness, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, was established on May 28, 1975 through the signing of the Treaty of Lagos. The regional body aims to promote economic integration, political stability, and collective self-sufficiency across West Africa. 5 decades later, the community has grown into one of Africa's most significant regional blocs, consisting of 12 active member countries and serving over 400 million people. Delegates and member states at the anniversary attribute the organization's strength to its commitment to people-centered policies.
Under President Tinubu's leadership, the reform process has continued to make implementation of ECOWAS objectives more efficacious, fostering legal and regulatory convergence towards a customs union and common currency among member states.
Today, we have gathered here to celebrate 5 decades of regional solidarity, of standing side by side through times of hope and hardship, of building the most integrated regional economic community on the African continent. Today, ECOWAS represents more than an institution. It is a symbol of the enduring aspiration of over 400 million citizens.
A poignant highlight of the day was the appearance of General Yakubu Gowon, Nigeria's former head of state and the only surviving founding father of ECOWAS. In his address, he recalls the post-colonial struggles that fueled the need for regional integration. General Gowon praised successive leaders for nurturing the movement that began in 1975, calling ECOWAS a symbol of African unity and a beacon of hope for generations to come.
I give glory to God, to Almighty God, the architect of our destiny, for sparing my life to be part of this historic moment. Not just as a former head of state of Nigeria, but I won't call myself the founding father, but as one of the founding fathers, because it was not me alone. We came together not as leaders of disparate states, but as brothers determined to shape a better future for our peoples.
Also speaking at the event, ECOWAS chairman and Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu acknowledged recent challenges, including the withdrawal of 3 member states. He encourages young people across the region to take up the mantle of leadership with innovation and unity.
To you generations coming, we are here to mentor you, to hand over to you like one line in our item. We want to hand a banner without stain to you, the youth.
Other speakers commend ECOWAS' impact on member countries, citing improvements in trade relations and democratic stability. They further urge ECOWAS to build capacity in cybersecurity, digital infrastructure, and youth empowerment to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world.
There are a number of areas which ECOWAS can do better. First of all is on power and energy. No economy can develop and progress without power and energy. The hydro resources of the region can be collectively harnessed to provide power to industries, to homes, and to rural localities.
The ECO is a realistic dream that ECOWAS must push to facilitate trade, to facilitate and reinforce intra-ECOWAS trade. We must trade with a common currency. So the ECO is the only way that our destiny as ECOWAS can be realized.
From its first protocol on the free movement of persons to consistent election monitoring since 2006, ECOWAS has made its mark. And as the Golden Jubilee celebration draws the curtain on the past, it simultaneously lights the path towards a future built on solidarity, peace, and shared prosperity. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
And the lawmaker representing Idore Ifedore Federal Constituency in Ondo State, Olarewaje Akingbaso, has formally defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). His defection letter, read by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin during Wednesday's plenary, cited internal crisis within the PDP and a desire to align with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's development vision. However, the movement resistance from House Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, who argued the defection was a personal choice rather than a mandate from Akingbaso's constituent. Chinda called for the enforcement of Section 68, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, which addresses the legality of such defection, a call that the Speaker ultimately upheld.
I hereby wish to inform you and notify the House that I have decided to decamp to the ruling party All Progressive Congress (APC) and align myself with the party's ideology and the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. This is due to internal conflicts within my former party and my desire to position my constituents for the great benefits of Mr. President's renewed hope government.
To draw our attention to Section 68(1)(g) of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, particular interest is of this morning, the letter read this morning. My dear colleagues, if you had listened to that letter, you will understand that our colleague used singular noun all through. I, not his constituents, not the people he's representing. It's a personal decision. He's on a frolic of his own. Our prayer is that APC should not treat him in the APC way.
We'll take a short break here, but coming up on news now, Mauritania's Sidi Ould Tah elected new AFDB president as Adesina bows out. Stay with us for more details. Welcome back. Now let's briefly take you through some of our top stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has marked his second year in office with a reflection on key economic reforms, notably the removal of the petrol subsidy and unification of the foreign exchange window. The president, who assumed office on May 29, 2023, described the policies as bold steps needed to save the country from financial collapse, noting that the subsidy regime and multiple FX windows had become a chokehold on Nigeria's future. We also told you that the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on Thursday upheld the election of Monday Okwebolo as the governor of Edo State and dismissed the case of Aso Ighodalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the September 21, 2024 governorship election in the South-South state. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. It's now time for business news, and Okwayemi Owosheni is on standby. Okwayemi, what's the latest?
Well, Tamilore, Mauritania's Sidi Ould Tah has been elected as the 9th president of the African Development Bank Group, AFDB. The institution announced on Thursday via its official website. The new president emerged after several rounds of voting by the AFDB Board of Governors during the 2025 annual meetings held in Cote d'Ivoire, marking a pivotal transition at the helm of Africa's foremost multilateral financial institution. Tah is set to assume office on September 1, 2025, succeeding Akinwumi Adesina of Nigeria, whose transformative 10-year leadership ends in 2025. Adesina, first elected in 2015 and re-elected in 2020, is widely praised for repositioning the bank as a leading force in Africa's development agenda. We'll take a breather here and be back with update from the stock markets. Welcome back. Now, Nigeria's equity market recorded its first negative close of the week on Thursday as the market reduced by 0.08%, with the market's capitalization at 70.52 trillion naira. Now, in the aggregate, we see 127 listed equities participating in trading. On the losing side, NPF Microfinance Bank came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation of 11.52% at 2 naira 15 kobo per share. It was followed closely by Seplat Petroleum Development and Co., which closed at 4,964 naira 40 kobo per share. Now, at the close of today's session, over 556 million shares were traded in 18,505 deals, amounting to a market value of 17 billion naira. Now, despite this bearish trade when compared with the previous NGX trading day, that's Wednesday, May 28, today's data shows 9% improvement in volume and 11% improvement in the number of deals. Now, turning our gaze to the global scene, it's a similar situation as both the UK FTSE and the US Dow Jones ended in the bears. Japan's Nikkei, however, ended trade on Thursday at the highest point in more than 2 weeks after United States courts blocked President Donald Trump's tariffs from going into effect. The Nikkei climbed 1.88% to 38,432.98 basis points. That's the highest close since May 13, 2025. Meanwhile, in the foreign exchange markets, the Naira continues to face pressure. It's trading at 1,620 Naira to the United States dollars on the parallel market, 2,170 Naira to the GBP, and 1,820 Naira to the Euro, reflecting ongoing currency volatility. And that's it on both business and stock market updates. Over to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you. We now on the global scene. A South African court has sentenced the woman to life in prison for kidnapping and selling her 6-year-old daughter in a case that horrified the country. Jocelyn Smith went missing in February last year from her home in Sardina Bay, and her mother, Kelly Smith, was found guilty of kidnapping and selling the young girl reportedly for $1,100. Judge Nathan Ramos ruled the Smith, who is 35-year-old, and her two co-accused, a boyfriend and a mutual friend, also be jailed for life for human trafficking. They were all sentenced to a concurrent 10 years imprisonment for kidnapping. And in a sharp rebuke to President Donald Trump's trade strategy, a U.S. federal court has blocked the implementation of sweeping tariffs imposed during its administration, ruling that the executive branch overstepped its authority. The Court of International Trade declared that the emergency law cited by Trump's White House does not grant the president unilateral power to impose tariffs on nearly every country. The ruling also ought separate levies that had been imposed on key trade partners, including China, Mexico, and Canada. And finally, on sport, Ghana's Ministry of Youth and Sport has assured that the remains of Nigerian boxer Segun Olarewaju will be repatriated to Nigeria soon, with Sport Minister Kofi Adams confirming that all necessary clearances have now been obtained for the evacuation process. Adams explained that the delay in repatriating the boxer's body was due to legal requirement that had to be fulfilled following the circumstances of his death. The development comes nearly 2 months after Olarewaju, popularly known as Success, collapsed during a bout against Ghanaian boxer John Umbango on March the 29th. And Saudi Arabian football authorities have entered what sources describe as a difficult and sensitive negotiation with Cristiano Ronaldo, following strong indications that the global football icon may be planning to leave Al-Nassr. A source familiar with the matter says talks have become increasingly urgent after Ronaldo's recent comment hinted at an impending departure from Saudi Pro League. Ronaldo joined Al-Nassr in late 2022 on a record-breaking deal, reportedly worth over $200 million annually, has played a pivotal role in elevating Saudi football global profile. And that wraps up our Latino News now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwoli. See you again next time.